comes out to seeing the bike that Mikelle's riding on the ground. 90 seconds. It was just a minute. The wheel was still spinning on the bike. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? And welcome back to The Search with Lisa. If this is your first time here, welcome. We cover a lot of true crime, considering that we do all unsolved, meaning missing, murder, and I also cover cases involving human trafficking. I'm glad to see you here. We are a growing channel. So for everybody that is returning, thank you so much for contributing and helping and sharing and anything you can do to make this channel successful. We upload every Thursday night at 8 p.m. and a lot of times we will premiere it. That way we can all be together in the chat. And it's just a way of, I think, just kind of building a relationship within our own community here. So I hope that you appreciate this video and subscribe, share, and I look forward to seeing the comments below on what you think about this case today. I'm going to get into it, and thank you again. Alright guys, so today's case is interesting. It was a high profile case at one time, but I wanted to touch on this case. It is older, but I do have some updates with some good news, so let's talk about it. You may be familiar, and if not though, let's really dive in. The case we're talking about is Mikelle Briggs. Mikelle Briggs was a 11-year-old in January 2nd of 1999. She lived in Mesa, Arizona. She was actually born on May 31st in 1987. I want to give you a little background on her. Her sisters and family said that she really loved Disney. And you know what? She wanted to grow up and do like animation. She enjoyed playing the flute. She was someone that when she was in a room, she really shined. She, in many different interviews I had seen with the family, they talked about her glowing blonde hair and just her demeanor and ways about her. Definitely a sweet, darling girl that had so much ahead of her. And that's what I kept hearing. Like, they just knew that she was into art, that she was just a creative being. And this situation that I'm going to share with you is absolutely so sad. And I'm hoping by the information towards the end on this gives a positive light to what I have found out. The case begins on January 2nd, 1999. And Mikelle and her sister Kimber, who is 9 years old at the time, were out doing what kids do. They were right in front of their house. They were like riding their bikes around like four houses up and down. You know, a lot of us did that. In fact, her mom, Tracy, was actually like, I think, outside, even on the porch for a while. I think there was a cousin over. I mean, things were going on. It was a little chilly though. So I want to tell you, they were riding their bikes and they were waiting on the ice cream man. So, although they had to come in soon, it was like, we're going to hold out. Y'all know about the ice cream man now. If it's coming, the kids are coming. I mean, I think we all relate to riding the bike. Like, those are old school times. I don't see any of stuff like that anymore, at least not in my area. So, on that day, Kimber decided that she was gonna run inside and grab a sweatshirt because it was getting chilly. Now remember, this is in the beginning of January. They're in Arizona, but y'all know that desert gets cold. So she's only 9 years old. So anyway, she literally goes inside, grabs her sweater, and they hadn't seen the truck yet that they had like heard, but they hadn't seen it. And so the mom's like, go ahead, go out there and get Mikelle because listen, it's not coming, it's getting late. We're gonna be eating dinner. Just what moms say. So Kimber goes out there and runs back out, and she comes out to seeing the bike that Mikelle's riding on the ground. Mind you, 90 seconds. Probably. She said it was just a minute, a little over, no more than 90 seconds. I'll tell you how quick it was. The wheel was still spinning on the bike. So that tells you that bike was literally just laid down. So long enough, go in, grab the sweater, and all right, mom, we hear him, but we don't see him. The mom's like, well, look, bring her money in, let's come in and get it for another day. That long back outside, not even 90 seconds. Of course, Kimber, who is like, and she sees the money on the ground of where they were waiting for the ice cream man. Kimber, being only 9, of course, is kind of in just a rage. She's done a lot of interviews about this moment. I know there was times that it was just seemed so surreal. But she goes in, she tells her mama, I don't see her. So the mom, of course, goes, hollers for, they moved pretty fast. They went over to the neighbor's house, and Kimber, now being an adult, speaking back on this, said it was just like 30 minutes, and there was so many people out there looking. There were no witnesses, though, and nobody even heard anything. So, of course, the police are involved right away looking. All right, at the time they said that there was very few suspects. Even the father, Darren Biggs, was actually looked at. Now, from what I understand, they had to page him, I believe, and tell him, to come home. He was kind of looked at, I think, because he was more reserved. And you get judged. Oh, do you get judged? And if you don't react the way they think you should react, you're under scrutiny, okay? You are under the thumb until they can prove not. So, God forbid if you don't react when you go into shock finding out that your daughter is missing. But I will tell you, later on, he was cleared, okay? Far as he had nothing to do with it. What I want to talk about is what the police started to do when they started looking. Like I said, time started going by. There was nothing. They were going in and searching houses. This was just a devastating situation. Now, what also was the police did is they went and pulled up all sex offenders register, things like that, and started knocking on doors, searching houses. They were, doing that. They came across a man by the name of Dee Blalock, which he already had some charges and was not a reputable man that they wanted around. He had been arrested before for SA. So they go over there, and of course he's gonna deny it, right? No, 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 not me, right? And he claims he had an alibi. He was sitting in his garage that day. He was watching a football game. His wife actually said that she verified that he was there because she had made him a sandwich and whatever. And so at that time, of course, there until they can find out more, that he stayed on the list, but for there he kind of had an alibi. So until they could look, they looked around, they didn't see anything. They did go and look. It wasn't like they just walked away. They did look, but there was nothing to be found. So, like I said, they started going into many different avenues of looking, different reasons, and just nothing was coming up. And sadly enough, that's what continued to happen. Now, I want to tell you, 5 years after her missing, the family had decided that they were going to, of course, continue to keep things open. They had missing flyers everywhere. They were, of course, taking down any leads, but they had decided that they were going to have a proper funeral for their daughter. They knew something. Even the investigators had stated on a couple of occasions that after speaking with the routes of the ice cream people, that they were actually a lot were off that day too. They don't even believe like there was one in that area. So possibly because they had claimed they heard it, maybe the sound was used to lure or to get attention, something. That's the only way, because from what they were gathering, there was no ice cream truck in that area at all. So for them having to hear something should not have existed. Unfortunately, it was pretty evident with the bike left there, and the money and just everything adding up, but nothing had been found. But after 5 years, they did have a ceremony for her and do what they were going to do without having her to bury. Very, very sad that they have to do that. But in a way, it's like it kind of gives like a closure. Even though she's not there, they wanted to honor her in that way. She deserved that. I would tell you too also that she loved purple flowers. So every holiday and birthday, they would take purple flowers. These are things that they would do until they didn't necessarily go and do that. And I'm going to get into a little more of that. But I want to get into, once again, before we get to the positive of this and the new info that I have got on this case, people can be cruel. So how about on March 14th, 2018, a dollar bill was turned into the Neenah, Wisconsin police. If anybody's like familiar with that area, I believe they said it's near Appleton, about 2 hours from Madison, and I believe that's the capital of Wisconsin. I am not familiar with Wisconsin, so maybe that could just kind of give you the idea of where this dollar bill came from. A man had brought the dollar bill to the Neenah police station. The dollar bill said, "My name is Mikelle Biggs, kidnapped from Mesa, and I'm alive." Once the information was brought to the attention of Mikelle's family, they knew it was false, Kimber said. She said, "I can remember looking at it and the fact that her name was misspelled. And the handwriting, it just didn't look like her handwriting too. She said to me it looked like someone trying to write like a child." Who would do that? Who does that? And at that time, after all this time, guys, we now being in March of 2024, we are talking, this was 2018, that happened in 1999. Why would you, 20 years later almost, do this? It baffles me. Why would you do this? I think about this case and it saddens me that there was so much searching going on, that in a matter of 90 seconds, that means somebody was watching, and probably someone close to them, like a neighbor, okay, somebody just waiting on opportunity, or just watching the girls out there, and when one left, that was it, jumped and did it, grabbed her, and it was that quick. I want to take you back to Dee Blalock. Now, the thing about him is he is now serving time in prison for many, many years. I believe there was some typos, but I believe that he is serving one. I believe somebody wrote 187 years, which should be, but I'd also seen one that said 15 years. So I don't know if somebody meant to write 187 months, but the point is, I'm going to let you know that he is in prison. And he is in prison on other charges, But like I said, after being reinvestigated too, now that he's also, in jail, he's been convicted of sexual assault, molestation, and on. Okay? Kidnapping, things like that. So, he won't admit though. He won't admit anything. After he was put in prison, the wife came forward feeling safer, said that she could not give a full statement again, stating that she could be his alibi for that night, that she did see him in the garage and that she did, I guess, bring the sandwich, but then she did not see him for a few hours, and that she was scared to come forth before because she was scared of him. She was, I guess was threatened, I was here. As soon as he went to jail, she came forward and said this. I am not sure if things were brought up against her on that, but at least she did come forward. If for some reason he gets out, I believe her testimony probably could help out on getting, more looked into him. I want to kind of bring you to some type of silver lining in this case. This was kind of different. This was a very high profile case, and a lot of people know about it. And it's the ones that don't know, that is really the just that she was outside playing with her sister, and Kimber went in. When she came out, was gone. The wheel was still turning. It literally happened within 90 seconds. They finally kind of, I say kind of because they still were grieving and hoping for anything to put her to rest. 5 years later, they did celebration things on birthday stuff, like dealing with like purple flowers. Purple was her favorite color. She was such someone for art, for Disney, full of joy, just terrible. And the fact that Kimber blamed herself for so long, and can you imagine when it was not her fault at all? She has stated that she's dealt with anxiety and PTSD. She is a grown woman now. We are on 25 years. She was 9 at the time, so she's about 34 now. But here's your silver lining, guys. I came across where that I had read. As you guys know, I do a lot of different awareness too. This really touched me. So that is why I chose to cover this case, even after all this time. So here's our silver lining. Kimber actually made a statement saying that she was very thankful for Mesa Police Department that never was giving up. For her, becoming a mother is what really compelled her to keep fighting, Kimber said. She said, "This is what I'm supposed to do." So, you want to know, guys? She was recently hired by the National Crime Justice Training Center. I had to look down at the writing. National Crime Justice Training Center. And you know what it's for? To bring families' perspectives to law enforcement. Now, here we go. This is what she's doing. Because of her case, we have a lot of people that become advocates for whatever they've gone through. I myself personally have too. So, when you go through it, you can help bring awareness to whatever topic it is. Well, because of all this, her also being a victim yet a survivor in this, because she is a survivor, because she was victimized to this, dealing with losing her sister, traumatized, PTSD, and had anxiety disorder, trauma, all those stuff. But she chose to fight and kept, and like she said when she became a mother, that it's really started clicking what she felt she needed to do. The National Crime Justice Training Center has asked her to come on, and what her responsibility is going to be. She is actually going to educate. She'll take like a couple, some courses to kind of fine tune it. She'll actually be like writing some stuff up, but she is going to be educating the law enforcement. I have spoke about this in many different cases of how, like, if the cops would have done this, if they would have worked faster, if they had not waited that extra day, that doubting was it a runaway, different things like that. So what she said is just really knowing how to speak to a child in a traumatic situation and doing what's best for them, she said. So that was one example of what she was talking about. So basically, what she means is she's going to tell them when you come up on a situation of a missing case, she is going to tell them probably some do's and don'ts on how to talk to the siblings and the families, okay? Because apparently, I guess there needs to be a little more work in this field. Also, she very much gave a lot of respect to the Mesa police. She said they did a lot of things right, but she did say there was some things that they could have done a lot better. Kimber has given 2 now presentations so far, also encouraging officers to remain open-minded on who a suspect might or might not be. She said, I'm doing this simply because I love her, said Kimber. I love so strong, it's turning pain into power. She is my big sister, and she deserves to know and have that peace. And she's talked more about the presentation after she had done it. So when she first talked about it, she was excited to announce it. Then she did some training a little bit on her own, kind of getting things together. And then she went out and did 2 and then commented, listen, she said, it's a whole presentation about my background, about Mikelle. She said, things that the police, in my experience, did right and that worked well for our family. And then things in my experience that I feel like they could improve on. So, anyway, like I said, she said, Kimber says she remembers officers being kind to her in the immediate aftermath of Mikelle's disappearance. But she also believes more could have been, like I said earlier. She says, they wanted to ask me questions, find out what happened. I was the last one to see her, Kimber recalled. I don't remember someone specifically like explaining things or like clarifying to her what was going on. She's 9. So I think that this is amazing because I get so frustrated sometimes doing these. And I think that we need so much more education with the law enforcement. We need so much more education on what the families are going through, and for it to come from someone like herself who was the victim but also the survivor, and how she was treated as a child, which is so important. Someone that had to see what their family went through, what they feel. I think this is such a great way to represent her sister, who unfortunately will probably never come home. So instead, she is going to hopefully and will make things preventable, something she can help the police officers maybe keep a better eye on about, maybe believe kids on certain things quicker so that someone can be saved. All in all, Mikelle Biggs is a hero because of the sacrifice that she ended up making, not by her choice, but because of what happened. Now, her sister has found her voice because of this terrible incident to go and try to prevent from any other families being scarred more from police action and possibly getting that extra quick jump so that they can get their person that is missing or whatever is going on, getting justice a lot quicker. So, guys, like I said, this was a little different, but I felt that this was real important. We need to hear these silver linings. We hear so much, it's always missing, and terrible things going on in the news, the trafficking, the missing, the murders, the no justice. So we need to see that there are things happening behind the scenes. If you are someone that has gone through this, if you're somebody that wants to get involved and do this, your voice can help educate the law enforcement. There are training programs. There are things that you could do. Kimber even told them at first it was going to be just like once or twice a month. I would like to do even more. So I think as it goes along, she's going to go around the country. She has found her voice, and 25 years later, she's gone through a lot, guys. And now she's going to go out there and make a difference. And I'm excited. And I think that more that have been in her position can also do this. Know that your voice matters. And especially when nobody can tell you how it feels unless you've been in those shoes. I can talk about it all day, but until I've been in those shoes, nobody can speak on it better than someone that has. So I just wanted to share this tonight with y'all. There's a purpose of why I do each one, and this was the purpose. She has left something beautiful that is going to help others. Her life made such a big impact, and even 25 years later, she is still going to make a huge impact in helping others. And that's the type of person that Mikelle Biggs was. So what I like to do at the end of every video that I do in each episode is I give a ribbon with their name on it. She was 11 years old, Mikelle Biggs, last seen January 2nd, 1999. This ribbon represents a prayer for justice. I want to thank everybody that came in and listened tonight. Again, I hope that you appreciated the silver lining and the update that I did tonight. I encourage you guys to always pay attention to our missing signs. Pay attention to your surroundings. And you just might, by sharing and telling someone, might help solve a case. If you are new, I hope that you subscribe, and I will see everyone on the next search.